BBC Radio 2. Rainmore.
And I tell you what, the lunatics had taken over the Laughing Academy. Oh, my giddy, huh? You know what? It's your neighbours I feel most sorry for.
No, I've never liked you.
What a way to start a new week. A bit of a rude awakening, isn't it? Elvis Presley, and a lovely old medley. Contains one of the finest lumps of libretti in the whole of English language, that record. Did you notice? Never caught a rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine.
Stay with Radio 2. Through the day, through the night, and round the clock.
Yes, a lot of it about, isn't there? It's 7 minutes past 6, all of a Monday morning today. Precious little else it could be, but thanks to Colin Berry, you've been having a grand old morning next door, dismembering the headphones, smashing the radiogram, sloshing brown Windsor soup all over the nuclear-powered gear. He's left it somewhat late to turn into juvenile delinquency, I think. But I'll tell you another thing, darling. I've got some cracking little old clockwork toys in here this morning. If you've got nothing else on, I mean, you could do far worse till 8 o'clock. Like this, too, from a fellow called David LaRoth, whoever he is. As a reworking of the old Beach Boys thing. Beach old men now. David LaRoth and the California Girls. It's 10 past 6. You're a kind and lovable lot, you crowd, in the early morning. You send wonderful letters. More than I've ever seen in all my life. One from Marianne, who wrote from Stowmarket in Suffolk, who describes herself as a regular listener. Oh, dear. If everybody was a regular listener, Marianne, there wouldn't be half the trouble in the world, I think. But a nice note. And a kind lady called Carol Walker of Bedford said she was listening to me nattering on the other day, because around about 10 days ago, we had a rush of blood to the head and decided to walk the marathon course in the teeth of a Siberian blizzard. It was a good idea at the time. We lived to regret it. Anyway, we did it, and Carol very kindly says, please find enclosed a cheque for 10 quid for your sponsored walk for your gentleman of the road. I'll pass that on, Carol. It's very kind. You shouldn't really. You're a naughty girl. That old Dickie Mint at Deptford is going to appreciate that. Buy him some aftershave, eh? Oh, no, perhaps not. He'll probably drink it. I hope she's going to be all right. A lot of hooliganism going on this morning, isn't there? Oh, Lord, she's starting up again now. Give him an inch. That's Kim Khan's Invitation to the Dance. For one or two perspicacious listeners amongst you, you may have guessed the title. Good grief, 14 minutes past 6.
If you think you'll feel like a night out at the end of a busy week, let me point you in the direction of Croydon's Fairfield Hall, where this Friday evening the BBC Concert Orchestra, singers Marilyn Hill-Smith, Joan Savage and Peter Morrison, plus the featured soloist Gareth Newman on bassoon, and the Stephen Hill Singers will all be on stage under conductor James Lockhart, when at 7:30 Robin Boyle pronounces once again that Friday night is music night. Why not be there? Tickets for the concert are available at the Hall box office and the usual agencies, and for those who can't be there, well, the concert broadcast live in stereo on VHF FM is on Radio 2. Friday night is music night from the Fairfield Hall, Croydon, this Friday at 7:30.
Croydon, eh? Friday night. Cracking. What an exciting idea. It can be lovely, you know, Croydon, this time of year. Very like Runcorn, really, but a bit more of a hike to the beach. It's 6:15 on the nose. I'm not shilly-shallying and messing about this morning. Only the best in the world, the top of God's pops today. The best in the world. Amazing Grace, beautifully sung there by the Crigach Presbyterian Church Choir in Belfast. Lovely. Did you know what they said to Winston Churchill when he sat down at the piano? Get a tune now, Winnie, would you? Yeah, Shakin' Stevens. No, it's not him, it's me. Green Door, one of his big hits. Kept him in ciggies over the weekend nicely, right? It's 22 minutes past 6. I'm getting an awful lot of letters, which I'll get into in a minute, but I've had a note from Audrey Humphreys of Shrewsbury, Shropshire. She said, I thought you'd be interested in the enclosed clipping from the Shropshire Trombone, or whatever the paper's called, Shropshire Star or something. And it's got one of these little items of 10 years ago and 20 years ago. And it turned out 20 years ago, 23-year-old Ray Moore joined Midlands ATV as a station announcer. I remember it vividly. I have the scars yet, Audrey. And she says, by the way, what the dickens has happened to you? You don't tell us about radios 1 and 3 and 4 in the mornings, whether Mrs. Padmore is emptying the elephant's feet of the pool bank. We never know when to start spring cleaning and bottoming now. And on the same tack is a note from a fellow, I think his name is Adam Ferguson or somebody, of Emsworth in Hampshire. He says he was watching the British Record Industry Awards the other week, and he said the classical record of the year was Vivaldi's Four Seasons by the Academy of Ancient Music. And Adam says, so you see, all your old men with the flowing white beards and nightshirts have been recognised at last. None too soon either, Adam. But he says, what the dickens has happened to this run-down the early morning programmes? I do miss it. We're at Tarmac Rigby and Talcum Malcolm and Bedstead and Timpson and Miss Hughes and the Pillbock Hat. Well, Miss Hughes, she went into tax exile, actually. Adam is only allowed back 90 days a year. But the thing of it is, you see, between you and I, Adam, what was happening? All the missing millions were listening to me, and then at 7 o'clock they were going to listen to Radio 3, you see. Now, Tarmac Rigby doesn't like this, you see. They don't want any riff-raff like us listening to Radio 3. Don't sully their hands with trade over there, you know. The fewer people that listen, the more of a cult station it can become, you see. If nobody listens, you're a cult then. So Tarmac Rigby can go and boil his head. Stay here, whatever you do. We get awful low. As I always say, fool. That's Hazeldine, the new single, No Fool for Love. Got a note from Jeanette and Sid Gardner of Norton Lindsay into the third crater shampoo, even as I speak. They're near Warwick. Janet and Sid Gardner. It's their 35th wedding anniversary this very day. Pair of you, happily married all these donkey's years. Jolly good job, really, considering, Sid, that you got married in the first place. Jeanette and Sid, here's one for you. I'll make you cry this morning. Business, really. We'll pull ourselves together, have a smash and age. Jeanette and Sid Gardner singing especially for you there. Brendan Shine.
Radio 2.
It's 6:30, the news headlines. The TUC leader, Mr. Norman Willis, now believes the gap between the Mine Workers Union and the Coal Board is so narrow that the 11-month-old pit strike could be easily settled. Those were the headlines. We'll have a full bulletin at 7 o'clock.
Monday on Radio 2.
Okay then, Steve, give the pianist a bit of a kick for me, would you? Ah, thank you, darling. They made some cracking songs, didn't they? ABBA and Dancing Queen. It's 25 to 7.
The perfect way to spend your morning with Radio 2. Easy listening.
Oh, that old thing. It's a Monday morning today, the 18th of February. Improving a little, you know. Ever so slightly narky first thing this morning. I don't know quite why. Nothing to do with the life I lead. But it's passing off nicely. Thanks for all your mountains of cards and letters and stuff. The same thing is I can never get through them all on the programme. I can't mention everyone, but I'll get through as many as I can. Oh, Rose and Ern Oliver of Goodmays in Essex. They say, do you remember donkeys years ago? Well, you used to get up even earlier than you do now. Yes, it's positively decadent now, lying in bed, snoring till 10 to 4. It's no life for a growing lad, really, Rose, is it? But all those years ago, you played a request for somebody who wasn't yet born. And then in the fullness of time, she was. And she turned out to be Victoria Ann Heather of Canvey Island, who became the light of Carol and Ray's lives. So parents Carol and Ray, plus Janet and Paul, Jess, Di, John, Rose and I all wish to call Victoria, who just cannot wait to see what life is like when she is 3. Little smiley face. Quite what they're doing, Rose and dragging her out of bed at this time of night, I don't know. It's cruelty to children, that. Victoria and Heather, happy birthday. Oh, and Rose and Ern also mentioned they came to a couple of the recordings of Pop Score, which we did many, many years ago now. The BBC have been sitting on it, been through the censors department. Anyway, you'll be delighted here, Rose and Ern. You were asking about when it's going out. The first of the new series of Pop Score is tomorrow night, I think, starting at 10 o'clock here on Radio 2. With the honey drippers on the sea of love. It's coming up to 20 to 7. When I was at the Variety Club Thrash the other week, down at the Hilton boarding house in Park Lane, I ran into a marvellous chap, a fellow called Air Commodore Robson, OBE, RAF, Brigadier, Mrs. Retired. Bobby, he calls himself. Anyway, he's written a note, and he spends part of his life as a shepherd, evidently. And he says, I visit the sheep between 6:30 and 7 o'clock in the morning, feed them and water them and check they're in good order. Now, it's an extraordinary fact, says Bobby Robson, that I've been leaving my van door open with the radio on, allowing your programme to float across the field. I've noticed a marked improvement in the sheep's behaviour at the trough. No longer do they struggle to get their share, but lurk about the van door waiting to catch your next massage. Your sheep are going potty. I have to say, they're not very much taken, says Robbie, with your tale of the dog with its legs cocked up. The connotation with stuffing and mint jelly is rather more than they can take. I hope you'll be feeling better soon, Robbie. Thanks for that note. Nice to hear from you. What? Oh, that's all right.
That you've probably been crying forever.
Oh, dear. Probably go shoot myself, I should think. As planned, Rita Coolidge. I don't want to talk about it. 16 minutes to 7. After I've done with this one, Ken Bruce is on between 8:05 and 10:30 this morning. Then Jimmy Young, he's looking forward to today's programme. Oh, Jimmy Young. Because around about 12:30, he's got the highlight, that one of the funniest programmes the BBC ever do. They call it, for some reason, the FA Cup 6th round draw. But in fact, what it consists of, it's worth getting some time off work and having a listen to this. They go to Lancaster Gate Tube Station for some reason or other. They get a collection of wizen-bearded old men sitting there with a pile of balls, and they jiggle the balls. And one of our star-studded commentators does you a little comment on it. So the man says, Accrington Stanley, militant tendency, will play Corinthian Casuals, Presbyterian.
Pop singer, actor, and increasingly in recent years a breeder of racehorses. He's David Cassidy, and he's Gloria Hunniford's guest today.
Could it be forever? Or is my mind just a rambling on? I touched you once and I kissed you once, and now I feel like you're mine.
David Cassidy, now 35, but looking little different from the 21-year-old pop legend of 1971. Since then, the longish layoff, but it could be full cycle in the pop business. He's got a new single out called The Last Kiss. You can hear him in the Gloria Hunniford Show, 2 to 3:30 today, Radio 2.
And also with Gloria today, another passing travelling salesman, a fellow called John Byrne Cook, the son of Alistair Cook. Now, he's talking about his first novel called The Snowblind Moon, and he'd rather like you to scrape the odd bob or two together and go out and buy it. They're going to buy David Cassidy's record and his book. They must think we're made of money, mustn't they?